Do not move. There is a number that has been following you for weeks. It arrives when you check your account. It arrives when you lie down. It arrives when somebody mentions what they paid for something. And you have never once said it out loud to another person. Chosen one. Tonight, you were counted into the 1%. And I need you to hear the entire sentence before you decide what it means. Because you did not find this message. Out of everything that could be in front of you at this hour, on this particular night, you are looking at a message about the exact figure that has been sitting in your chest since Sunday. That is not an accident. That is the third one this month, and you stopped calling them coincidences a while ago, which is precisely why you are still here. Now the part that reorders everything. You have been trying to get into the 1% who receive. That is the wrong room. They are not the ones who end up carrying enormous amounts across a lifetime. And this is not a spiritual opinion. It is documented. A large share of people who receive a life-changing sum are back within reach of where they started inside of a few years. Not because they were foolish. Because receiving and holding are two entirely different capabilities. And almost nobody is ever taught the second one. Receiving was never the miracle. Holding is. So here is your actual tier, and I will say it plainly. You have already been counted into the 1% for endurance. You have stayed sincere with no evidence for longer than nearly anyone alive could manage. You kept showing up in a season that gave you nothing back. That has been recorded. That is not in question tonight. What has not been built yet is the capacity to hold what that endurance earns. And I am not going to promise you a figure by a date. Anybody who does that is lying to you, and you have been lied to enough by people using the name of God to do it. What I am going to do instead is show you the exact mechanism that has been keeping capacity small in sincere people for 3 generations, and then hand you the way it reopens, because the years were not a delay in your provision. The years were the construction of the container. 3 things are going to happen before this ends. You are going to understand something. By the end, you will know precisely why. Financial thinking gets worse under financial pressure, and it is not a character weakness. It is a measurable effect. And once you see it, you will forgive yourself for a decade of decisions. You are going to feel something. There is a specific release that comes to a person who finds out they were never greedy, never irresponsible, never cursed, but simply operating with a portion of their capacity already spent before they woke up. And you are going to be able to do something. 3 practices, all free. The first one takes 90 seconds, and you can run it before your next money decision. Let me prove I know your life before I ask you for anything. Here is a symptom. Tell me if it is yours. You can make excellent decisions for other people. Somebody comes to you with a situation, and you can see the whole shape of it in about 40 seconds. Clean advice, correct advice. They take it, and it works. Then you sit down with your own numbers, and something entirely different happens. The clarity is gone. You read the same line 4 times. You open the spreadsheet and close it. You feel a low physical dread that has no proportion to the actual figures in front of you. You have concluded from this that you are bad with money, that there is some deficiency in you specifically around this one area of life. Look at the evidence again. You are not bad at financial reasoning. You demonstrated excellent financial reasoning about somebody else 40 minutes ago. What changes is not your intelligence. What changes is how much of your capacity is available at the moment you look. And there is a reason for that. A documented one. There is a mechanism that takes a measurable portion of your thinking capacity offline the moment you are under financial pressure. And it takes it before you are aware of it. And it takes the exact portion required to think your way out. I am going to open that all the way in a few minutes. For now, hold one thing. You have not been failing at this. You have been playing it with a hand that was already short of cards before you sat down. If that just landed, put 2 words in the comments where I can see them. Say, not greedy, just those 2. I want to see how many of you have been carrying an accusation that belongs to a mechanism. Let me tell you how I know you are in the room I am describing, because I would rather show you the evidence than ask you to take it on feeling. There are markers, not mystical ones, behavioral ones, and they cluster in a very specific kind of person. The first marker: you have never been able to spend money on yourself without a justification, not because you cannot afford it. Even in the seasons when you could, there had to be a reason, a purpose, something that made it defensible. Other people buy things because they want them. You have never once in your adult life done that cleanly. The second marker: you give more than your position allows. Consistently, quietly. There have been months where you gave something away that you needed, and you did not tell anyone, and you did not regret it, and you would do it again this month, if it came up. The third marker: money arrives when it is desperate and stops when it is comfortable. There is a pattern in your life where provision shows up right at the edge, repeatedly, with a kind of precision that has stopped feeling like luck, but it never accumulates. It arrives, it covers, it leaves. The fourth marker: you have had ideas that later made other people money. More than once. You saw it early, you did nothing, and 18 months later, you watched somebody else build the exact thing. The fifth marker: something in you flinches at the idea of being wealthy, not at having enough, at being the kind of person people describe that way, and you have never fully examined why. If 4 of those 5 are yours, then you are not in the general population, and this message is not a general message. That combination is not a personality type, it is the profile of a person with high transmission and low storage. Things move through you at a rate that most people never experience, and almost nothing stays. You have interpreted that as being blocked, as being under something, as being the one member of your family who somehow inherited the bad end of the line. I want to give you a completely different reading tonight, and I want to be careful with it, because this is the sentence the whole message is built on. You do not have a receiving problem. You have never had a receiving problem. Look at your own history honestly, and you will find that things have come to you repeatedly, sometimes remarkably. You have a carrying problem. And carrying is not a moral quality. It is not about whether you deserve it. That is the frame you were handed by every religious environment you have ever been in, and it has done enormous damage to people exactly like you. Carrying is a capacity. Capacities are built, not awarded. They can be small in a person of extraordinary character and large in a person of no character at all, which is why you have watched people you consider hollow hold amounts you cannot, and it has quietly wounded your theology for years. That is the thing nobody explained to you. Provision is not distributed by worth. It settles at the level of capacity, the way water settles at the level of the container, and it does not consult anyone about fairness on the way down. So the question of your life stops being, why has it not come to me? It becomes, what is my ceiling made of, and can it be raised? That is a completely different question, and unlike the first one, it has an answer. Give it a name so you can work with it. Call it the carrying capacity. Your carrying capacity is the largest amount of provision, responsibility, and opportunity you can hold at one time without something in you moving to reduce it. Everyone has one. Most people never learn theirs because they spend their entire lives believing the problem is on the supply side. Yours is not on the supply side. It has never been on the supply side. And if that is true, then everything about tonight changes, because supply is outside your control and capacity is not. If you want the mechanism, say 2 words below. Say, my ceiling, and then stay with me, because the first piece of it is going to explain the last 10 years of your financial life in about 4 minutes. Here is the first mechanism, and it is the one that will give you back a decade of self-respect. Start with the symptom in its exact form. The month is tight, and in that month, you make a series of decisions that, looking back later, you cannot believe you made. You paid the wrong thing first. You avoided opening the letter for 9 days. You bought something small and unnecessary in the middle of the tightest week of the year, which makes no sense at all, and you still cannot explain it. Then the pressure lifts a little, and within days you are thinking clearly again. You look back at what you did under pressure and you feel a specific kind of shame, because you know you are smarter than that. You have concluded that you have a discipline problem that shows up under stress. Here is what actually happened, and it has been studied carefully in populations all over the world. Financial scarcity does not only take your money, it takes a portion of your thinking capacity, and it takes it automatically. The mechanism is this: when something is scarce, the mind assigns a large amount of background processing to it. That processing runs constantly, underneath awareness, whether or not you are consciously thinking about money. It does not switch off when you go to work. It does not switch off during the conversation with your child. And the capacity it consumes is not available for anything else. Researchers measuring this found that the same person tested during a period of financial pressure and again during a period of relief performs measurably differently on tests of reasoning and self-control. Same person, same intelligence, different amount of it available. Sit with what that means, because it is one of the cruelest loops in human life. Being under financial pressure reduces exactly the capacity you would need in order to get out of financial pressure. Name it, because a thing with a name can be managed. Call it the bandwidth tax. The bandwidth tax is charged before you wake up. It is deducted at the source. By the time you sit down to make a decision about money, a portion of you has already been spent on the background hum of the problem itself, and you are working with what is left. Now let me apply this backward across your life, and I want you to go slowly, because this is where the accusation comes off. Every bad financial decision you made in a tight season was not made by the whole of you. It was made by the fraction of you that the tax left behind. The years you could not seem to plan, the opportunity you did not evaluate properly, the letter you did not open, the moment you took the safe option and knew, even while doing it, that it was the smaller road. You were not weak in those moments. You were operating with reduced capacity, and the thing that reduced it was the very problem you were trying to solve. And here is the part that should make you angry rather than ashamed. This is not a personal defect. It happens to everyone measured. It happened to your parents. It happened to their parents. Which means what you have been calling a family curse for most of your adult life may be a bandwidth tax running unbroken through 4 generations, and every one of them concluded the same thing about themselves that you concluded about yourself. I want to give you the first tool right now, because I do not open a wound and leave it open. Call it the 90-second unload. Before any decision involving money, of any size, do this. Take a piece of paper, write down, in short fragments, every financial pressure currently running in your head. Not solutions, just names, the car thing, the month after next, the conversation with my brother, the number I do not want to look at. Write until the page stops producing. That takes about 90 seconds, and here is why it works. The background processing runs because the mind is holding open items with no external record. Written down, an open item is partially closed, not solved, held somewhere other than in you. Then, make the decision. You will notice something within the first week. Your decisions made after the unload will be visibly different from the ones made before it. Sharper, longer range, less flinch. That is not positive thinking. That is capacity that was being taxed, returned to you. If you are going to run that this week, put 2 words below. Say 90 seconds. Now the second mechanism. Watch what happens in the rare seasons when money does arrive. Something comes in. A bonus, a settlement, a good stretch, a windfall of some kind. And for a short period you are above your usual line. And then, over the following months, without any dramatic event, you drift back down. Not through disaster, through a series of small, individually reasonable adjustments. Something breaks. Somebody needs help. A thing you had been putting off becomes urgent at exactly the moment you have the means for it. By the end of the year, you are back within a few percent of where you started, and you have a completely rational explanation for every single step. You have called that bad luck, or you have called it spiritual attack. I want to offer you a third reading, and it is more useful than both. This pattern is not rare, and it is not personal. Studies of people who receive very large, sudden sums find a striking proportion of them back near their prior financial position within a handful of years. These are not careless people as a group. They are ordinary people, and the amounts involved were enough to change a life permanently. What returns them is not spending. What returns them is that nothing about their capacity changed. The amount changed. The container did not. And a container does not hold more than its size just because more was poured in. It overflows. And the overflow looks like a series of unrelated events. Call this one the thermostat. Everyone has a setting, a level of provision at which they feel normal. Above it, something quietly moves to bring it down. Below it, something quietly moves to bring it up, which is why you have survived things that should have finished you. That second half matters. Your thermostat has been protecting you your entire life. It is why money has always arrived at the edge. It is not a curse. It is a functioning flaw. The problem is not that you have a thermostat. The problem is that nobody ever told you it could be moved. Now recontextualize with me. Every season where you got close and then it slipped. Every time the number went up and then came back. You have read that as being blocked, or being tested, or being under something that follows your family. It was a setting, not a sentence. A setting. And settings do not require deliverance. They require adjustment, which is slower and less dramatic and considerably more reliable. Here is where I want to bring the old language in, because the modern world has separated two things that the ancient world never separated. In Hebrew, there is a word, Shayil. You have heard it without knowing it. It appears in the description of the woman in the final chapter of Proverbs, usually rendered in English as a virtuous woman or a woman of noble character. That English is thin. Shayil does not mean virtuous. Shayil means force, strength. It is used for an army. It is used for military power. And it is also used in the same texts for wealth, for substance, for what a person has. One word. Strength, army, wealth, and worth. The people who wrote that did not have a separate category for money because they did not experience it as a separate thing. Wealth, in that language, is not a reward that arrives from outside for good behavior. It is a form of capacity. It is what strength looks like once it has accumulated, which means the question the ancient text is asking about a person is not, do they deserve provision? It is, how much force can this life hold? That is the same question we have been circling all night, asked 3,000 years ago, in a language that never made the mistake we made. Before we continue, let me put something in front of you and then set it back down. Over the past several years, something has been established in research laboratories that most people who care about the things we are discussing tonight have never been told about, not because it opposes anything sacred, because it came from a direction we are not used to watching. A small group of neuroscientists, led by a physician in New York who has spent 2 decades on this, found something about the architecture of the human mind that explains why capacity stays small in sincere people And it has nothing to do with worthiness. It traces back to work that won a Nobel Prize. I will tell you what they found later, at the point where it will actually mean something. For now, hold one question. What if the ceiling in you is not a spiritual measurement at all? What if something was taken from you at a level nobody thought to check? Hold that question. There is one more mechanism, and it is the one that explains why you have watched other people pass you while doing objectively less. Here is the symptom. Somebody around you started something small, genuinely small. You looked at it and thought, that is not going to amount to anything, and your assessment was entirely reasonable given what was in front of you at the time. 3 years later, that small thing is not small, and you have gone back over it many times, trying to find the moment you should have seen it. You cannot find one, because there was not one. The thing looked exactly as unimpressive as you judged it to be, right up until it did not. That is not a failure of vision. That is a specific and universal miscalculation, and it has been measured repeatedly. Human beings estimate growth in straight lines. Show a person a curve and ask them to project where it goes, and almost everyone alive will underestimate it badly and will keep underestimating it even after being told they are underestimating it. It is one of the most stubborn errors in human reasoning, but almost nothing that matters grows in a straight line. Not compound interest, not skill, not reputation, not relationships, not the thing your neighbor started in his garage. Call it the line and the curve. You have been evaluating your entire life with a straight ruler in a world that moves in curves, and so has everyone who advised you, which means every time you looked at something small and correctly observed that it was small, you drew a straight line forward from it and concluded, accurately according to your math and inaccurately according to reality, that it was not worth beginning. Now put that over your own timeline, and this is the merciful part. You are currently in year 3 or year 7 or year 11 of something that looks flat. Your assessment of it is the same assessment you made about your neighbor. Nothing is happening. It has not moved. Judged by a straight line, the honest conclusion is that this is not going anywhere. But you are not on a straight line either. Nobody is. The years of sincerity, the reading, the surviving, the interior work nobody has ever seen, the things you have learned to handle without breaking, none of that pays out in a line. It sits, apparently flat, and then it does what curves do, which is almost nothing for a long time, and then a great deal very quickly. That is not a promise about a date. I told you I would not do that. It is a description of the shape of the graph you are on, and the shape is not in question. Now I want you to feel where you are in your body, because we have been in numbers for a while, and your body has been listening. Notice your hands. Many of you will find them closed, or gripping something, or resting with the fingers curled. Notice your jaw. Notice whether your breath is going into the top of your chest or reaching the bottom of your ribs. That grip is the thermostat. It is what holding on looks like from the inside. Your body has been in a mild bracing position around scarcity for so long that it stopped feeling like bracing and started feeling like you. Do not force anything. Just let your hands turn over and open. Let the breath go all the way down one time. That is what capacity feels like physically. Open, unbraced, receiving posture, and your body has not been in it for a long time. Now come somewhere with me, because I want you standing in it before it exists. It is an afternoon roughly a year from tonight. You are looking at a number, and here is the entire scene, because it is smaller and stranger than you imagined it would be. Nothing happens in your chest. That is it. That is the whole miracle in that moment. You look at a figure that would have caused a physical reaction in you a year ago, and there is no reaction, no tightening, no flush of heat, no urge to look away or look again. You just read it, the way you would read the time. And because there is no reaction, something else becomes possible. You can think about it. All of you is available, and the decision that follows is not defensive. It is not the smallest safe option. It is the one an unhurried person makes. Watch yourself make it. Notice how ordinary it looks from outside. Nobody watching would see anything remarkable, but you would know. You would know that the room in you got bigger, and that everything after that comes through a wider door. That is what 1% capacity actually looks like, not a lifestyle. A nervous system that no longer flinches at scale. Now let me say your objection out loud, because I would rather handle it than let you carry it out the door. Somebody watching is thinking, this is a lot of explanation, and I have had explanations before. I have had the teaching about sewing. I have had the teaching about mindset. I have had the one about speaking it into existence. All of them made sense, and none of them changed my account balance. You are right to be suspicious, and I am not going to talk you out of it. Here is the difference, and you can test it instead of believing it. Every one of those teachings placed the fix inside your will. Believe harder, give more, speak better. Each one asks the part of you that is already depleted to produce more effort. That is why they work for 6 weeks and then quietly stop. Nothing I have described tonight is about your will. The bandwidth tax is a capacity effect. The thermostat is a setting. The line and the curve is a calculation error. All three are mechanical, and mechanical things can be tested by an unbeliever. Run the 90-second unload for 1 week. If your decisions do not improve, throw the whole message away. I am not asking you for faith. I am asking you for a piece of paper. And to the one who has been at this for decades, who was in the room for the teachings in the 1990s and the ones after, who tithed through unemployment, who has done everything the environment told them to do. There is a particular kind of tiredness that belongs only to you. It is not the tiredness of doing nothing. It is the tiredness of doing everything correctly and watching the result not arrive, over and over, for longer than most people would have stayed. That is not weak faith. That is accumulated, unrewarded effort, and it is a real condition, and it does not respond to more intensity. It responds to the machinery being repaired. Now, I want to close the loop I opened earlier, because there is one more thing under all of this, and it is the heaviest thing tonight. There is a story almost everyone has heard, and almost nobody has read carefully. A man is going away. He gives 3 of his servants different amounts to manage. 5, 2, 1. The first 2 put theirs into motion and produce a return. The third does something that has been misread for centuries. He does not lose it. He does not gamble it away. He does not spend it on himself. He buries it carefully, and when the master comes back, he returns it whole, every unit accounted for, nothing missing, and he is the one who gets the hardest words in the entire story. Read what he says when he explains himself, because this is the sentence the whole thing turns on. He says, I was afraid, so I hid it. Not, I made a mistake. Not, I tried and it failed. I was afraid, so I made sure nothing could happen to it. Call it the buried talent. Here is why this is the heaviest part of tonight. The only failure named in that entire story is stillness, not loss, not risk taken and lost. The 2 servants who put things into motion could easily have lost some, and nothing in the text suggests they would have been condemned for it. The one who is condemned is the one who guaranteed that nothing would move. And now, I have to ask you the question you have been avoiding for a long time. Where in your life have you been calling it wisdom? The thing you have not started because the timing is not right. The conversation you have not had. The number you have not looked at. The money sitting somewhere doing nothing because moving it feels dangerous. The gift you have not used publicly because you want to be more ready. I am not going to tell you all caution is fear. Some of it is genuine wisdom, and you know the difference in your body. But some of it is not, and you know that in your body too. Here is how you tell them apart, and this is the clean test. Wisdom has a condition. It says, not until this specific thing is true. And when that thing becomes true, wisdom moves. It has an exit. Fear has no condition. It generates a new reason each time the old one is satisfied. If you have met every requirement you set for yourself, and there is still a reason not to move, then the requirements were never the point. Now, the recontextualization, and this is the part that lets you put down the guilt. You were not lazy, and you were not disobedient. You were operating with a reduced portion of your capacity, under a thermostat you did not know existed, doing straight-line math on a curve, in a family line where every previous generation buried theirs for exactly the same reason. Of course you buried it. Nobody in your entire bloodline had the bandwidth to do anything else. That is not an accusation. That is the moment it stops being your fault and starts being your move. But here is what most messages like this never say. Everything you have learned so far tonight is true, and by itself it will work at a fraction of its capacity, because all three mechanisms, the tax, the thermostat, and the straight line, share one thing underneath them that I have not named yet. And without that piece, you will apply what you learned tonight with the same instrument that produced the problem. So let me say the whole thing in plain language, no imagery, because you deserve one paragraph you could repeat to somebody tomorrow. Here is the why. You have not been kept from provision by worthiness, sin, or a curse on your family. You have been operating with reduced capacity. Financial pressure silently consumes a measurable portion of your thinking. A setting inside you returns you to a familiar level whenever you rise above it. And you evaluate long-term possibilities with straight-line math, while reality moves in curves. Those three together produce a life where things arrive and never accumulate. Here is the what. Every one of those three is a function of available capacity. Raise the amount of you that is actually online at the moment of a decision, and all three change at once. The tax gets paid out of a larger account. The thermostat becomes visible instead of automatic. The curve becomes something you can see rather than something you discover afterward. Here is the who. This is not for people looking for a shortcut to money. It is for the person who has already been faithful for years, already given more than their position allowed, already survived what would have ended most people, and is still standing at the same ceiling. If that is you, you do not have a worthiness problem. You have never had a worthiness problem. You have a capacity problem, and those are two completely different repairs. You now know what has been holding the ceiling in place. The only question left is what you do with knowing it. Do you remember the question I asked you to hold earlier in this message? The one about whether something had been taken from you at a level nobody thought to check. Here is the answer. It won the Nobel Prize. In 1981, Dr. Roger Sperry received it for work on what happens in a mind whose two halves have been separated. What he demonstrated was not that one half is superior. It was that they are specialists, built for different kinds of processing and designed to be in constant conversation with one another. One half handles sequence, analysis, language, and detail. The other reads whole patterns, holds scale, and recognizes shape without breaking it into parts. Now look back at the three mechanisms with that in place. Straight line thinking is what one half does when it works alone. It is excellent at sequence and structurally incapable of seeing a curve, because a curve is a whole shape, and that half only handles pieces. And the state where both halves work as a single instrument has a name in the research: whole brain activation. Here is the number that should stop you. When researchers measure creative capacity in young children, roughly 98% test at what they describe as genius level. Follow the same measurement into adulthood, and it collapses to fewer than 1 in 1,000. 98%, then fewer than 1 in 1,000. Nothing was wrong with those children. Something happened between there and here, and it was not sin, and it was not aging. The synchronization degraded, quietly, under exactly the conditions of modern life. Constant input, constant fragmentation. 3 generations of it. The great swindle of our lifetime is that it happened slowly enough that everybody assumed it was just growing up. A man from Texas described what it was like before he found what I am about to describe. Years of running a small business while feeling permanently one step behind his own decisions. He said the information was all there in front of him, and he simply could not hold it all at once long enough to see what it meant. 2 weeks in, he said his mind was running on all of what it was supposed to run on. Not smarter. Vida. He described making a decision that quarter that he said he would not have been capable of seeing 4 months earlier. A woman from California described it from a different direction entirely. She had tried everything her community offered: prayer, journaling, quiet mornings, every practice anyone recommended. And she kept arriving at the same place. She believed the words. She could not feel the reality behind them. 10 days in, she said something cleared. A channel that had been closed opened. Not because she tried harder, because the receiver had been repaired. That is because of what the team I am about to describe discovered. A group of neuroscientists, led by Dr. Daniel Barone in New York, spent years on a single engineering problem. They took over an hour of clinical neural sync technology, the kind of whole brain activation protocol used in specialized medical settings, and through an intensive compression and refinement process, they turned it into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. 8 minutes a day, headphones, eyes closed. That is the whole physical requirement. They call it the Genius Switch. It is not a meditation app. It is not a sound engineered to put you in a particular mood. It is a targeted auditory sequence built on the foundation of the Sperry research, designed to reconnect the 2 halves and restore the synchronized state that was your default condition as a child before any of this was taken. And if you have tried the popular audio products before and found them underwhelming, Dr. Barone addresses that directly. Those target one narrow slice of the picture. Sound alone is incomplete. What his team built targets synchronization at the whole brain level through a multi-layer clinical protocol. Different mechanism, different category of result. The Genius Switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who understands that God prepared not only the provision, but the mind that has to hold it. The person who has been sincere for years with nothing visible to show for it, who gave when it was not comfortable, who has watched hollow people carry amounts they could not, and instead of becoming bitter, kept asking what they were missing. Most people who hear about this tonight will scroll past. They have already accepted the reduced version of their own mind as permanent, and they will spend the rest of their lives explaining their ceiling with the word curse. You are still here, this deep into a message that refused to promise you a figure. That is not an accident. That is the exact kind of person this was built for, on what it costs. Colleagues who examined it told Dr. Barone it would be an incredible value at $500, and that figure is not arbitrary. In-person neurofeedback runs $300 an hour. A home machine runs $7,000. It was not released at $500, not at $200, not at $100. It was released at $49, and on the page, his team maintains there is a further $10 off, $39. 4 things arrive with it at that number. A guided visualization from a top-rated creator on the Calm app that walks through money, love, health, and happiness. A grocery guide naming 10 common American foods that contribute to mental fog, with shortcuts that save most households over $100 a month. A text more than a century old that most modern material on attracting provision was quietly built from, and a printable graphic of the 5 habits that shape a future, and it carries an unconditional money-back guarantee. Listen once, listen 80 times. If it does not do what it has done for 18,456 people, every dollar comes back, with no conditions attached to it. I want to name the price question honestly, because you are the kind of person who does the arithmetic. $39 is not nothing in a tight month. I know that, and I am not going to pretend otherwise or tell you that the amount is small. What I will tell you is that his team has communicated that the price will increase, and that is not a manufactured deadline. It is what limited run access to clinical grade work looks like. If the month genuinely does not have it, then it does not have it, and nothing about who you are changes tonight. One thing worth naming directly: if you search the usual platforms for anything with a similar name, you will find tracks. His team examined them. Most had no neural sync technology in them at all. They carry the name because there is no barrier at all to labeling something. The mechanism is the entire difference, and the mechanism exists only in what his team built. The direct page is the only verified source, and that is where the link points. If your spirit resonates with what has been described, the link is in the description below and in the pinned comment. Nowhere else. Everything is laid out on their page, and you can read all of it before deciding anything at all. A tool does not replace God. It does not replace obedience, and it does not raise the ceiling by itself. What God is building in you was never conditional on any object, but a tool that restores the receiver, gives what God is doing more of what it was designed to land in. The deeper current of this message is where we return now. There are 2 things left that you need before this ends, and the first one is for the person who is thinking that even if all of this is true generally, it is not true for them specifically, that there is something in their history that disqualifies them. A bankruptcy, a thing they did with money that nobody knows about, a pattern so long running that it must by now be who they are. I want to point at what that thought actually is, because it disguises itself well. Humility says, I might be wrong about this. What you are carrying says, I am the single exception to a mechanism that operates in every human mind. That is not smallness. That is a claim of specialness pointed in the most painful direction available. Capacity does not read your history. It does not know what you did in the years you do not talk about. It is a relationship between processes, and it behaves in you exactly the way it behaves in everyone. Now here are the last 2 practices, and they are the ones I would keep if I could only keep 2. The first is the ledger of motion. Once a week, write down every place something moved, not results, motion, a message sent, a number looked at, a price asked, a conversation started, an amount moved from one place to another place. Do not record outcomes. Outcomes are not under your control, and recording them will make you quit. Here is why this works. The story you have been telling yourself is that nothing is happening. That story is not a mood. It is a memory problem. Motion without immediate result does not get stored, so at the end of a month, your mind reports that you did nothing, and it reports that with total confidence, and it is wrong. The ledger corrects the record. And once the record is corrected, the thing that has been training you for years, the belief that you are standing still, loses its evidence. The buried talent was condemned for stillness. So measure motion, not yield. The second one is the capacity question, and it takes 4 seconds. Whenever you catch yourself in the old prayer, the one asking for the amount, stop and ask a different question instead. If it arrived next week, what would it land in? Then answer it honestly, not spiritually, structurally. Where would it go? Who would manage it? What is the first thing that would happen to it? What would you say to the 4 people who would find out? Most of you will discover, the first time you ask this, that you have no answer at all. Not a bad answer, no answer. You have been asking for something for 11 years, without ever once picturing the container it would arrive into. That is not a failure. That is the exact discovery that changes it. Because the moment you begin answering that question seriously, you have started building the container, and provision settles at the level of the container. You have been praying for water. Start building the vessel. Water finds vessels. And I want to say something about the word billions, because it is in the title, and you have been waiting to see whether I would address it honestly. I am not going to tell you that a specific sum is coming to you by a specific time. I do not know that. Nobody speaking to you tonight knows that, and anyone who says otherwise is taking something from you. Here is what I will say, and it is stranger and larger. The amount that moves through a life is not the same as the amount that sits in an account across a lifetime. The person with capacity handles enormous sums. What they earn, what they root, what they open for other people, what continues after them in a family line that was reset because one person raised the ceiling. That is where the number in the title actually lives, not in a balance, in a flow, over decades, through a person who could hold it without flinching. That version is not a promise. It is a possibility, and unlike a promise, it belongs to you. If you want it, put 2 words below. Say, build capacity. Now come with me one more time, because I want you standing inside it before it exists. It is somewhere between 3 and 5 years from tonight, and I want you to notice what the scene is not. There is no yacht in it. There is no moment where you are handed a check by a stranger. Those images belong to a version of this message that would be lying to you. Here is the scene. You are sitting at an ordinary table with somebody in your family, someone younger, and they are describing a situation involving money that has them frightened. You listen to the whole thing without any reaction in your body. That is the first thing you notice about yourself. There is no flush of heat, no tightening. Their number does not move you, and it would have moved you badly once. And then you do something that nobody in your family line has ever done at that table. You solve it, not with a lecture about faith, not with a story about how hard things were. You look at the actual situation, and you see the whole shape of it at once, and you say the 2 sentences that make it obvious, and their face changes. And afterward, when they are gone, you sit there for a minute in the quiet, because you know what just happened. Something that has been running in your family for 4 generations stopped at your table. It did not stop because you got money. It stopped because you got capacity, and capacity is the thing that passes down. That is what the 1% actually is. It is not a tier of people who received. It is the very small number of people in any generation who became able to hold, and who therefore became the point where a line changes direction. And notice what is true in that scene. You are not asking whether you are chosen anymore. That question is simply gone, not answered, outgrown. For the one who felt something turn over when the mind was mentioned earlier, that door is still open in the description. It is a small step, and I am making no larger claim than that. But small steps taken from a mind that is finally whole have changed entire family lines. That is the last time I will mention it. Everything that remains in this message belongs to something else entirely. Before this ends, I am going to speak something over your life, not a summary, a declaration, and there is one sentence in it that I believe you have needed somebody to say out loud about you for a very long time. Stay for it. But first, one more thing, and it is the reason I have kept asking about your body all night. Your body reports capacity before your mind does. When you look at an opportunity and something in your chest closes a 1/4 inch, that is not discernment about the opportunity. That is a reading of your current ceiling. Learn to tell those apart, because it will save you years. Discernment about a thing arrives with information attached. There is something specific that is wrong, and you can usually point at it within a few seconds even if you cannot articulate it fully. A ceiling reading arrives with no information at all, just narrowing, just the sense of too much, without a single detail about why. The next time you feel that second one, do not decide anything. Write down the number that caused it. That number is the current edge of your container, and now you have measured it, and things that are measured can be moved. There are 3 kinds of carriers, and you are one of them. I want you to know which, because it changes what you do tomorrow. The first is the conduit. Everything passes through you. Money arrives and leaves, and it always seems to leave towards somebody who needed it. You have almost no storage and enormous throughput. If that is you, your calling was never to accumulate quietly. It was to move volume. And a conduit with a raised ceiling does not become a hoarder. It becomes a river instead of a hose, and everything downstream of you gets more. The second is the vault. You hold. You are careful, and you always have been, and you have been told your whole life that this is fear when much of it is design. If that is you, the work is not to become reckless. The work is to notice the single place where your care has become burial, because there is usually only one, and it is usually the largest thing you own. The third is the founder. You are the first in your line. There is nobody above you who has done this, and no one to ask. Everything you learn without a map, and you have paid for all of it in full. If that is you, the loneliness you have felt around money is not a personal failure. It is the price of going first, and the ones who come after you will find the road already cut. Whichever you are, do this with me now, while you are still here. Put both feet flat on the floor. Let your hands rest open, palms up, on your knees or on the table. Open hands, because a closed hand cannot receive and cannot give. Breathe once, all the way to the bottom, and let it out slowly. Now picture a room, your room, and in it, everything you currently carry, arranged the way it actually is. Look at the ceiling. For most of you, it is low. Low enough that you have learned to move without standing all the way up. And you have done it so long that your posture has adjusted, and you no longer notice you are stooping. Now put your hand flat against it. Feel that it is not stone. It is not permanent material. It gives slightly under your palm, the way a fabric does, and it always has, and nobody ever told you to touch it. Push once, gently, not to break it, just to feel it move. And say this inside yourself: it moves. Notice where that lands in your body. For many of you, it will land across the chest and shoulders, and it will feel like something you have been bracing against, turning out to be soft. Stay there for one full breath. Now, look around the room again, with the ceiling higher. Notice that nothing else changed. Same room, same things in it, same you. There is just more space above your head, and everything that comes in from now on has further to fall before it hits anything. That is the entire work. Not becoming somebody else. Raising the height of the room you already live in. So, let me finish what I promised. Take a moment before anything is spoken, not to ask for anything, just to notice where you are. You are at the end of a long message about money that never once promised you an amount. You stayed anyway. Most people would not have. Something in you was more interested in the truth than in the number, and I do not think that is a small thing about you. In fact, I think it is the entire reason you are in the room I described at the beginning. That gets acknowledged before anything else. Now let something go. Not everything. One thing. The sentence you have carried about yourself and money, the one that says, you are the person it does not work out for. The one that has a family attached to it, and a bloodline, and 4 generations of evidence. Picture it in your hands. Notice the weight. Notice how your fingers have shaped themselves around it over the years. Turn your hands over. Let it go. Let the shame about the decisions made under pressure go. Let the comparison with the people who passed you go. Let the word curse go. All the way, it was never the right word. Let the buried thing be dug up. Let the ceiling rise. Let the grip open. It is falling. Let it fall all the way to the ground, and do not pick it back up on your way out of this message. And now, hear what is true instead. You were never disqualified. You were never overlooked. You were operating at reduced capacity in a world that took it from you quietly. And that is a repair, not a verdict. You are not greedy. You have given more than your position allowed for most of your adult life, and heaven has an accurate record of every one of those quiet transfers, including the ones you told no one about. You are not behind. You are on a curve, and curves look flat right up until they do not. You are not the last in a failing line. You are the first one in it who found out the ceiling moves, and you have already been counted into the 1%. Not the 1% who receive, the 1% who endured with no evidence and did not turn bitter, which is a far smaller room and a far harder entry, and you walked into it years ago without being told. If that reached where it was meant to reach, seal it below with 3 words. Say, the ceiling moves. Put it where I can see it, not for my sake, because a thing said in the open moves differently than a thing only thought. And one more time, before the quiet. You do not have a receiving problem. You never did. Build the vessel. Measure the motion, not the yield, and stop doing straight-line math on a life that was never a straight line. The room is bigger than it was an hour ago. Stand all the way up. It is done. One last thing, and then I will let you go. Sometime in the next several days, a small opportunity is going to appear, and it will be small enough that your straight ruler will tell you it is not worth beginning. You will feel the familiar narrowing in your chest. You will start the arithmetic that has always ended the same way. Do not draw the line. Look for the curve.